So I have now started our recording. So it's just to remind everybody again that this session is being recorded in its entirety. It will then appear on our YouTube channel on the playlist, and it will also be on the Skills Week site, which I've just popped into the chat box. So for those of you just joining us at the moment, quick reminder, this is the Skills Week site. And we do now have our form for EDGE accreditation ready. So all you need to do is fill in the form about the 4 different activities that you took part in this week. I know lots of you have been to more than 4, and that's fabulous, but you only really need to talk about 4. So I'm just going to introduce you to Ellie. Ellie Francis runs Neptural, and she is a personal branding expert. We're very lucky to have her. I know that some of you had mentioned in the chat box you were at her earlier session this week, and that is why you're back again for more. We've got a really good blend of students and graduates here, Ellie. They're very excited about genning up. Also, just to let everyone know, there will be a 5-minute comfort break at some point midway through the session, as it is 90 minutes, and we want to encourage people to move away from the laptop for those 5 minutes, but Ellie will keep us up to date on that. No problem at all, David, you're most welcome. Some things are running on a little bit, so we haven't even just started yet. I'm handing over then to Ellie to begin. Thank you so much, Ellie.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Ellie. As Kathy said, I am here to talk to you today about LinkedIn, and this is an advanced version of what we had talked about on Wednesday at our beginners on LinkedIn session. I know some of you were at that, some of you weren't, but we will be a little bit more in detail about LinkedIn today, and more specifically about raising your personal brand on LinkedIn, and getting everything set up so as you are having the biggest possible profile in the metaphorical sense, as well as the literal sense as you can. So who am I? My name is Ellie. I am a director at Neptural. We are an employer branding agency, and we do some personal branding in there as well. What we actually do day to day is we work with employers to help them build their brand as an employer and help them attract new employees just like you guys. So for me, it's about helping them source via LinkedIn and what to look for, who to look for, and actually that makes it really sort of a good perspective for me to look at actually how should we formulate our LinkedIn profiles, because I know the sort of perspective that employers are coming from whenever they are looking at that. I also went to Ulster University myself. For those of you who don't know, I graduated, I think, in 2018, but I can't remember if that's exactly right. But I think it was 2018. I studied law with marketing up at McGee, and I really enjoyed my time at Ulster. And I love that stuff like this is part of the sort of bones of Ulster, you know, preparing you guys for your careers and preparing you for professional life, because it's so important, and it all seems to come on you very quickly whenever you do graduate, whenever you go out into the world of work. So stuff like this is just really good to start thinking about now. It gets you ahead of the game on everything as well. So that's a bit about me, and today we are going to be talking about LinkedIn. But just before we get started, I'm really interested to know, how do you guys currently use LinkedIn? So just post into the chat, you know, are you posting? Are you just on LinkedIn but you don't really use it? Are you engaging with people? Do you message people privately? Use it to stay in touch with people from school? Just let us know if you want to in the chat, sort of if you use it and how you use it. So what are you using it for at the moment? Okay, so not really posting, someone saying just you looking for potential jobs. Yep, so that's one really good use of LinkedIn, and it's becoming more and more streamlined as to how you do that. We have one of you guys making some posts and like other people's posts. Someone saying they have an out-of-date profile. Not to worry, it's something that's fairly easy to update. We have private messaging to make connections, yeah, and that's a really huge thing, because we often focus on our profiles and our outward-looking image on LinkedIn, which is important, but actually those private connections and those you know, person-to-person messages are really, really important as well to build relationships, especially, you know, after what's happened in the past year with COVID. It's so difficult to get out and make connections in person that sometimes LinkedIn and other forms of social media can be the only way really to connect with people that you don't already know. So posting occasionally, private messaging, and some people not using it yet, well, that's perfectly fine. Following people, liking other posts, looking for jobs. So I guess the main things in there are, some of you guys are messaging and getting to know contacts. That's great. Some of you are just on LinkedIn, but you don't really post. It's not really something that you keep up to date. And others are using it to look for jobs and engage with other people as well. So that's really good. That's a broad spectrum. And ultimately with LinkedIn, it's something just not to be intimidated by. You know, being on LinkedIn, and as we were talking about on Wednesday at the session, being on LinkedIn and using it to keep up to date with what's going on is actually really good. But all of the other stuff is extra, and it just makes it even better. So it's not something where you need to think, right, if I'm not doing all of these things, then there's no point. It's one of those ones where, you know, doing a little bit is actually really good, and you just need to build and build and build on that. So lots and lots of you using LinkedIn, which is really good. It's something that actually I worked before I went to uni. Actually, I worked for PwC over in London as a school leaver, and something they made us do at the time was make a LinkedIn profile, and it was in maybe 2014, and like LinkedIn just was not as popular as it is now, and no one really knew what it was, and actually we didn't really know what we were making these profiles for, but we all had a LinkedIn profile. So by the time I went to uni, I already had one, but it's something that I didn't really start updating properly until I had graduated. So you guys are all way ahead of where I was, and again, it's something that once you're on the ball with it, it can be very quick to build up momentum and to really get it going. So why should you be using LinkedIn? This is just a recap for any of you guys who weren't there on Wednesday. And there are 4 main reasons why you should be using LinkedIn. And I suppose the first one is companies use LinkedIn to source talent. Companies are on LinkedIn, oftentimes searching for candidates, oftentimes searching for skills, looking to see what types of people there are in the market. Sometimes whenever I work with an employer, they might not even know for sure that a person exists. So if they're looking for a digital marketer who has fashion retail background, they might think, actually, would there be someone that specialised in Northern Ireland? They'll look on LinkedIn to see, right, how big is the pool? How many of these type of people exist? So companies are using LinkedIn to look for people, and ultimately in that search, there are certain people who stand out as being really, really high quality candidates. So that's one really good reason to use LinkedIn. It's also a way to stand out as a high performer within your current organisation. So if you do have an organisation that you currently work for, or once you get your full-time graduate job, being engaged and being active on LinkedIn can help you stand out to the employer themselves. Even if you're already working there, they can see that actually you're really engaged with the industry, you're engaged with industry news, you have a really good business acumen, and being active on LinkedIn can just show them that you're going that bit over and above for your career. You're not just sort of turn up to work every day, doing your work and going home. You can also use it to network with other people in your industry, which is really, really important. And it's one of those things that as you progress through your career, it becomes more and more important, because your network become your friends. They become people that you go out for drinks with on a Friday. They become people that you lean on whenever you need help. You ask them questions, and that sort of collegiate network that we build at university, keeping in touch and networking with other people in your industry that aren't perhaps within your specific organization, is a really good way to try and keep that within your life and keep that sort of structure. And of course your university classmates as well, and it's a really good idea to stay connected with them by LinkedIn. And finally, it's just a really good way to take control of your career. LinkedIn obviously has lots of opportunities, lots of jobs. It has lots of industry news, industry trends. It can keep you really up to date with where your industry is going, where your role is going, and where the wider world is going as a whole. And it can allow you just to really be in the driving seat, and it can allow you to make decisions independently about things that you've read and that you understand and that you know, rather than just sort of going where the wind takes you within your organization. So it can really, really help you to stay in control of your career, which is great. So this session we will cover two key areas. So the first area will be around your LinkedIn goals and why it is that you're using LinkedIn in the first place. And the second section, we're going to really look at 12 ways to build your personal brand. And notice the phrase build. We are building. It's not a case of you need to leave the session today and have these 12 things in place by tonight. It's something to build on over a period of time and over the course of months and years, if you like. So we will get started with setting your LinkedIn goals. And I'm a big believer that when you do anything in life, anything in your career, you should know why you're doing it and what you're hoping to get out of it. It's really, really important to understand why you want to be on LinkedIn, because oftentimes, it's like a bit like me and TikTok. I know everyone's on TikTok, and people say to me, you need to be on TikTok, so I'm on TikTok. I have no idea why I'm on TikTok, and in fact I am hardly ever actually scrolling on TikTok because I don't know why I should be on it, and so I'm not really all that interested in it. Maybe it's me showing my age, but I am just not a TikTok person extraordinaire whatsoever. But same goes for LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn because people have said, right, you need to be on LinkedIn, it's a thing, it's a place to be if you want to get a job, but you don't really understand why or what you're trying to get out of it, then it's unlikely that you're going to actually use it. So try to understand your LinkedIn goals. The first stage in that is understanding what is your professional goal. And that's something as simple as, I'm trying to get a graduate job, I'm trying to get a placement, I'm trying to build clients for my business. Once you're in a role, it might be that you're trying to move jobs, which is a slightly different goal than getting your first job, because the way you achieve that will be slightly different. And really understand actually what am I trying to achieve. And in certain careers, the likes of the legal profession, it might be that you're trying to get a training contract, same for accountants. And so some of your content and some of the things that you engage with might be a little bit more on the academic side, whereas if we're down the sort of business analyst route, then your goal might simply to be get a job, and will be a lot more down the employment side of things as well. So what is your professional goal, and what are you really trying to get out of it? In a sentence, it doesn't need to be too complicated. Secondly, how do you think LinkedIn is going to help you achieve this goal? So is it that you can use LinkedIn to build your profile and you can post articles and showcase that you know everything about everything there is to know about this? Is it that you can use private messaging to build connections? Is it that you can use LinkedIn literally to apply for jobs via the job search function? How can you use LinkedIn to help you achieve this goal? And finally, who can help you achieve this goal? So LinkedIn is all about networking. It's all about building up your contacts to establish yourself and get in front of the people that you really need to be in front of. So is it that you should be connecting with potential clients? Is it that you should be connecting with potential hiring managers, recruitment agencies? Who could you find on LinkedIn that you could reach out to, obviously in a polite way, that could help you achieve your goal? So setting goals is so important with regards to LinkedIn, and it's really, really important. I want to ask you guys, actually, for those of you who already know, what is your professional goal? So you've all come to the session today. So what are you hoping to get out of using LinkedIn? Are you hoping to use it to find a job? Is it that you're trying to build a client base? Is it that you just want to stay in touch with friends? What are you hoping to use LinkedIn for? Okay, so we have Sean hoping to build a client base. Contacts to get a job, yeah. Finding a job. The the two most common things that we do see, so we have actually someone looking to find a mentor. Yes, that's hugely important, and that's something that LinkedIn can be really, really good for. Build a network with lawyers, connections in your field. It can be used, Nicole, to source placement opportunities as well, in the same way exactly how you would source jobs. So you can use it to look for placements. You can follow companies that you're interested in working for, and they'll post their opportunities. Or what you can do is directly reach out as well if there's somewhere specific that you have in mind. So internships, jobs, and finding clients, those are sort of the key things that we would use LinkedIn for. And again, how we achieve these is slightly different, but it's all about building your profile and building up how you stand out on LinkedIn and how you really make your presence known in the market. We have assessing the current market needs with respect to skill sets. These are all really, really good ways to use LinkedIn, and really, really good reasons to be on there. And I would say that puts you guys one step ahead, because once you know what you're trying to do, it makes it easier to decide what you're going to prioritize, but it also makes it a lot more motivational for you guys to get on there, because you know why you're there, basically. So the next thing I would do if I were you guys would be, I would have a little bit of a journal and think about how you might use LinkedIn, and hopefully this session is going to help you with that, and also who might be able to help you achieve this goal. So those of you who are looking for internships, placements, who might you be able to be connected with that can help you achieve this goal. So we're going to take a short break for questions. So if you guys have any questions so far around setting your LinkedIn goals, who you might want to be in contact with, how you might go about achieving some of those things, then please do pop them into the chat as well. And also feel free to use this time to have a quick comfort break or grab a cup of tea, and we're going to be talking then about 12 ways to boost your personal brand, probably starting around 12 o'clock. So if you guys want to post any questions that you have, I'm more than happy to answer, and just pick my brains if there's anything that you want to know about setting your goals and how to really drive those goals forward at this stage.
Ellie, there's a question there from, I had it in front of me, about placements. So can it be used? Nicole. So Nicole says, can LinkedIn actually be used to source placement opportunities?
So absolutely, it can be used to source placement opportunities. You can look for those directly on if you have a list of target companies or target industries. So you can follow those organizations and really wait for them to post their opportunities. Other things that you could be doing would be to actually reach out to the organization itself and ask them if they're going to be opening up any placement opportunities. And the right people to look for would be the HR or human resources manager and talent acquisition manager. So it's sometimes a good idea to reach out to those people first rather than reaching out to the head of department where you'd like to work. Say if it's banking law, rather than reaching out to the head of banking law, it's a better idea maybe to reach out to HR, because they're going to be over the detail of what they're looking for in terms of the placement students. So definitely I'd be reaching out. But what I would also do is be quite specific with them about what it is you're looking for. So I'd be saying, do you guys have placement opportunities this year? I'm currently looking for a paid placement that's going to last 9 to 12 months. And that just means they have all the information that they need to say to you, yes, we're going to offer this type of thing, rather than them coming back with something that maybe wasn't what you were looking for. Absolutely, you can be direct and reach out to HR hiring manager or HR talent acquisition manager side of things, or you can simply follow your top 10, top 20 companies, and you can see what they post and get on their radar as well. Okay, so we have a question asking, if you have a small business based on another platform, how would you best show this on your LinkedIn? So the best thing to do would be to connect up all of your handles, as we call them in marketing. So all of your other platforms, connect in your Instagram, connect your Twitter, connect your Facebook, whatever that may be, and then people can click through onto those platforms. Someone had asked during our session on Wednesday if it's a good idea to connect your other platforms. And what I would say is it's all about what you want to show on your LinkedIn. LinkedIn obviously is a public profile. You're either using it, as we were talking about earlier, to get a job or to find clients. So everything you post on there, those people, that target audience, are going to be seeing that. So if you want them to see your other socials, then absolutely link those through, and then they will click through to them, and particularly in small business. Whereas if it's something that you want to keep private, I'm not saying that anybody has anything bad on their Facebook or their Instagram, but if it's something that you want to keep private and just for your personal life, then perhaps don't link those, and keep those just for you. Okay, so bit of a different question than goal related, but I'm looking for a career change in industry. How best do you go about this? And so, okay, so that's a really, really good question, and it's something that there is a balance to strike, because you don't want to put yourself in a bad light with your current employer. It's not even that you don't want to put yourself in a bad light, but you just don't want to make things awkward for yourself. What I would say is that's time to make your LinkedIn profile a little bit more focused on transferable skills, so a little bit more general. If you're popping in that experience perhaps isn't completely relevant to what you want to do now, in the job description, focus on those things that are transferable. So focus on your use of technology within the role, focus on your engagement with the public, focus on your engagement with clients, your sales, things that are applicable to both sectors, if that makes sense. And actually position yourself as someone who perhaps has a foot in both camps. So in the likes of your headline, for example, you could be having that you are someone who does this, but you're interested in this. And that just means your other employer knows, fair enough, it's personal interest, but it also gets you on the radar, and we're going to talk about profile optimization a bit later, but it gets you on the radar of people who are searching in your new industry as well. I hope that makes sense, and do let me know if you want that explained a little bit further. Can you please give me some tips on messages to send while making connections? This is really important. So we talked about this in the session on Wednesday. If you're connecting with someone that you don't already know, it's really important that you let them know why you're connecting with them. It's not an absolute hard and fast rule, and oftentimes people connect with someone they don't know, they just accept, but it can get you a little bit further, a bit of a push further into that person's network if you're able to say, hi, my name's Ellie, I'm connecting with you because I'd really love to find out about placement opportunities in X organization, or I'm connecting with you because I'm trying to build my network in the legal industry. And it is okay to say something that simple. It is okay to literally say, I'm trying to build my network of lawyers. I'm trying to build my network of lawyers in London. I'm trying to build my network of accountants in Belfast. And oftentimes people just appreciate that little note, and they just think, oh, that's lovely, I'll connect to that person, rather than a random connection which leaves them thinking, why is this person connecting with me? And if they think, oh, I don't really know, are they going to sell me something, are they going to pitch me something, I'm just going to not go there. If you've been open and honest and said, look, this is why I'm connecting with you, that person can then make a decision on whether or not they're happy with that. So that's really the biggest tip I would have for connection messages, is be honest about why you're connecting with the person and what you're hoping to get out of it. Don't be too forceful. Don't be saying, I want to go for coffee, I want to sell you something, but be honest about your sort of intentions in terms of trying to connect with people in the legal industry, and then maybe a few weeks later follow up with a coffee request. But in the connection request, keep it simple, keep it direct, and be really honest about why you're trying to connect with them. And I know Kathy had said to me earlier, some of you guys might have questions as well about the headlines. I know I had just touched on that with Robin's question. So while we have a little bit of time, headline wise, you want to be keeping that really focused on what you want to do. And also something different about you. So the formula that we came up with on Wednesday was, you want to have your role that you want. So you're either going to be digital marketer, for example, or you're going to be aspiring digital marketer if you have no experience in the industry. then want to have something quite different, something unique, which might be something like fashion blogger. Again, obviously it needs to be true. And finally, something like an achievement, an award. It might even be your, you won an award at university or something like that. And it just shows you're a high quality candidate with good credibility. Here's what you want to do, and here's what makes you different. And I think that's sort of a good formula, and we will touch on that again in the optimization section as well. So yeah, David's asking include a note or not. I would say if you already know them, you don't need to include a note. Like if it's someone you went to school with or someone you went to uni with, and there's a good chance they're going to remember you, there's no need for a note, because that person's going to know, right, David's connecting with me because we were in the same marketing lecture at uni. But it definitely, if it's someone that you don't know, I think it's really important that you are upfront about why you're connecting with them, and why you are speaking to them, really. Whereas if you just go in with no note, they might accept you, but it's a little bit like random, and it only makes it harder then if you do plan to reach out to them in the future. It makes that a little bit harder, because initially you do have to make that first communication with them. So yeah. So have we got any more questions coming in? Gonna start in a few minutes with our 12 ways to build your personal brand on LinkedIn once you know your goals.
I'm just saying a quick hello to you just while. Hi, this is the first chance I've had this week in your session.
It sounds like a mad week. It sounds like you guys have had such a good time this week with lots of interesting sessions.
It's been insane, but it's been really good. I was just saying, actually, I was delivering Microsoft sessions this morning to see a few familiar names from those. And yeah, I was just saying it's a bit of a weird one. I feel like really glad it's coming to an end because I'm exhausted. On the other hand, I've got this real downer. You know, when you come back from a holiday and you just feel really flat?
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of like, oh, Skills Week's coming over. I'm kind of quite sad.
I know, because it's such like energy and lots to learn, and taking a break from, really, I suppose, the normal day to day, like where everything's sort of, you're doing the same thing, and then you learn lots of new things in a really short space of time. It can feel like so exciting. Yeah.
Guys, have you any more questions at this point? Or if you need to take a quick comfort break, Ellie, is that okay?
Go for it, yeah.
Okay. And obviously, I mean, I take it you've said, sorry, I missed the start of the session because we were doing the ABCs of a business plan with Enterprise Causeway this morning there, so which was really good. But I missed the start of the session, so I'm not sure you said it was okay for the students to connect with us on LinkedIn. I'm happy for anybody who wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, just go for it.
Yeah, no, I actually hadn't, and again, feel free to connect with me as well. I had said that on Wednesday. Yeah, it's nice, I think, just to keep connected with everyone and see what's going on. And I was saying to the guys on Wednesday, it's a good idea to try and make your web as big as possible, because LinkedIn's quite good at serving you up content that like third degree connections have liked. And so the more kind of variation of people that you're connected with, then the more stuff you're getting your eyes on.
Oh, that's good.
I'm very jealous of anybody going to see David Mead this afternoon as well. He's fantastic.
Are you going to see it?
No, I'm not. But I'm on the board for the Young Leaders Conference, and he always MCs for us, and he's fantastic. He's so interesting.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
No, I'm looking forward to it, actually. I'm looking forward to just sitting on the sofa, getting a nice big cup of coffee, and yeah.
It'll be a really, really good high energy end of the week, I imagine, but you'll be tonight.
Okay, well, I don't know. It's 12 o'clock now, so if everybody's back and ready, Ellie, do you want to kick off with your 12
Absolutely.
do's? That's the official technical name for them.
Absolutely, absolutely. So 12 ways then to build your brand on LinkedIn once you know what you're trying to achieve. And I cannot stress enough that it's so, so important to know what you're trying to get out of LinkedIn before you start kind of going hell for leather at the action side of things, because you don't want to be going too far down the wrong path. But here are 12 really good ways to build your brand. And do post your questions in the chat. I'll keep a wee eye. If there's anything that you want to know during the session, just post your questions in the chat, and I will answer that as we go, just in case, because I always forget what I wanted to ask by the end. So number one is optimize your profile. And I know I have some of my lovely fellow marketers in the room, and you guys are going to be very familiar with the word optimize. But for those of you who don't know, it basically just means getting your profile to the stage where it's getting served up, it's getting put in front of the right people. And we use the word optimize to describe that. And it basically just means make sure that you are searchable, make sure that when people are looking for people in your industry, that you're going to be coming up. And that's one of the things that I would say about the headline. We have all of these weird and wonderful, hilarious headlines on LinkedIn that all of our friends find very funny, but aren't maybe all that friendly to employers who are searching, because they're going to be searching things like digital marketer, or they're going to be searching trainee accountant, trainee solicitor, law student. They're going to be searching specific words. And if you're kind of using more of a funny, more of a tongue-in-cheek type headline, then the chances are you're not going to come up. And David's asking, is this similar to search engine optimization? And it is. It's similar. So it's basically LinkedIn optimization, and it's doing exactly the same thing as SEO, but over on LinkedIn. And how can you optimize your profile? So the best ways are to look at job descriptions in your industry. So what are job descriptions? The types of roles that you will be trying to go for. What kind of words are they using? And you want to be using these as part of your sort of keywords and your words through your profile, because those are the words that employers are searching, and those are essentially in your own words in terms of employers what they're actually looking for. Relevant keywords as well, which are going to be relevant to the job that you are hoping to do, relevant to your qualifications, relevant to what your kind of future plans are. I would say as well, be unique. So don't have it so unique that it's not searchable, but at the same time, you want to have in there a few things that only you or very few people can say they have, because from the point of view of whenever we do this with employers, you can have like 10 of pretty much the same person. And if you think in your industry, oftentimes everybody has the same or a similar degree, and everybody has the same or a similar experience, but it's more what have you done outside of that, or even within that, that makes you very unique, and include that in the profile as well, and in the headline. Because what we see is, to go back to the example I used earlier, I've worked with an organization who make like a clothing app, and one of the things they were looking for was a digital marketer, but they ended up really liking this person, and our LinkedIn headline was digital marketer, fashion blogger, an award-winning copywriter. And she had basically won an award for copywriting at university, which she was able to put in there. But what they really liked about her was that she was a fashion blogger in her own time. So that was proof positive that she had an interest in what they did. So they were a fashion app. They needed a digital marketer. In essence, any digital marketer could have done the job. You didn't need to know about fashion, but her fashion blogging experience showed that she had a real passion for the industry and a genuine interest in the business. And those are the types of things that can kick it over the edge for you, because it's proof positive to the employer that you're not just talking about fashion in your interview, you actually have a genuine interest in it. So make sure you are searchable. Cannot stress it enough. Don't make your profile really funny and quirky and cool to the point where an employer won't find it if they search for it. So optimize your profile. Oh, I'm clicking on the button. Perfect profile photo. So this is something that we did talk about on Wednesday, but it's something that I very much feel extremely passionately about. And I do want to put you guys on the spot and get you to post in the chat right now. Do you have a profile photo on LinkedIn? Let me know if you have one or if you don't have one. I'm glad you guys, I can't tell if that's Jackie or Kathy, but someone saying you can't emphasize this enough. That is it's so important. Okay, good. Most of you saying that you do. That's so good. Because you get, I think it's 13 times higher views on profiles that have profile photos. And one of you guys saying, I don't look anything like it anymore, I should have a better one. Listen, it's fine as long as you have one. We are going to talk best practices, but having one is always better than not having one. And I say that it's Kathy who's chatting to me, so that's all good. So a great LinkedIn profile photo should look professional. So it should not be including any wine glasses. I have seen wine bottles. I have seen all sorts of things in LinkedIn profiles. Try not to have sort of these cut out Facebook profile photos. Don't have your friend's arm, your friend's ear. Don't be on holidays. Don't be at a wedding. And I have seen really senior people with, frankly, unacceptable LinkedIn profile photos. So again, having a photo is better than, yes, Jackie, we have all seen them cringe LinkedIn profile photos. Having a profile photo is better than having no profile photo, but it's even better if you can have a professional profile photo. So keep it looking really professional, but it doesn't need to be professionally taken, and I can't emphasize that enough. Don't shy away from putting a photo on LinkedIn because it's not a professional headshot. We all have fantastic phone cameras nowadays, so you can take a head and shoulders shot in a white wall in your house and get it up on LinkedIn looking nice and professional. You only need to you can have your pajama bottoms on if you want. You only need to have a professional top on. It doesn't need to be taken by a photographer. Should be head and shoulders, so just a nice headshot where we can see your face quite clearly. And again, can you tell I feel passionately about this? Don't repurpose another photo. But if any of you are now panicking about your LinkedIn profile photo, I'm going to tell you a funny story about mine. So this profile photo on the left was mine whenever I left university, and the one on the right is my current LinkedIn profile photo. But I was at a workshop over in London about LinkedIn in the year I graduated, and I had heard all of the stories before about not to have wine glasses, not to have your friend's arm, not to have, you know, an ear or whatever, not to cut out your Facebook profile photo. And I had thought that I was largely following these rules. But I was at this LinkedIn profile, like this LinkedIn workshop, and a guy was talking about profile photos, and he said the exact words, and for goodness sake, don't have a picture of you with sunglasses on your head. So I was like, I hadn't even thought about that, because clearly this photo was me like on my holidays. I was in Paris. There's light on my face. I thought it was relatively professional. In hindsight, probably it's not. I have an off-the-shoulder dress on. I have sunglasses on my head, but I had thought genuinely that this was like a grand profile photo for LinkedIn. But whenever I actually went to this workshop in London, the guys were like, yeah, the reflection stated in the background window, not a good look. It was not probably the best LinkedIn profile photo that I could have had, but I want you guys to know that I have been there. I have been in the room where someone's been talking about a bad example of a LinkedIn profile photo, and I'm thinking, no, that's mine. That's what my LinkedIn profile photo looks like. But it's so easy to rectify, and it's even easier now than it was then. Just to take one in your house, takes 5 minutes and get it up there. The one on the right, granted, has been taken by a professional photographer, but it's not necessary. I suppose the point that I'm trying to make with it is it's head and shoulders. I'm dressed for the industry that I work in, and it is taken in a boardroom. Not that you can see that from the photo, but it is a professional background. So that's really all you need, and it's not complicated. It doesn't need to be expensive, and it doesn't need to take ages. But yeah, I have been there with the dodgy LinkedIn profile photo, and again, I would still say better than no profile photo in my defense. But at the same time, I can tell you that I changed it. I think I actually took a new one in my hotel room in London and just got that changed, because you kind of get it into your head then, like, oh, I'm never going to get a job if I have sunglasses on my head on my LinkedIn profile. But ultimately, we got it changed. Jackie's asking about black and white photos. Black and white photos are fine. Again, it's about your personal brand and your goals. I am, I'm in marketing. I like to have quite a vibrant personal brand. So for me, something really brightly colored works. But my fiance, for example, is a lawyer, and he doesn't anymore, but he used to work for a company that actually their headshots were all black and white. So he used to work for Herbert Smith Freehills, and they have all black and white headshots that they take within the office. So they all have those headshots on LinkedIn, and it's all part of the sort of company brand. So I think black and white headshots are fine as long as they are professional. But again, it all ties back into what do you want to project? Like, what are you trying to say about yourself, and also the industry as well. So yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with having black and white whatsoever. So yeah, have a profile, upload a profile photo, and try to make it as professional as you can. And the third really, really big thing is to have a cover photo. Now, this can help you stand out. LinkedIn have, they basically assign you with a generic cover photo. I think it's blue and it has bubbles on it, or maybe it doesn't anymore, but it definitely used to. And they kind of put that at the top of your profile. But in order to stand out with recruiters, with clients, if you're a business owner, with employers, it's a really good idea to have a different cover photo, because whenever they click into your page, it's the first thing that they see right at the top of the page. And so if you have a cover photo that's maybe bright, it maybe has a bit of information on it, a bit of information about you, then it's really, really important that you are able to stand out and keep yourself top of mind in the market. So which sort of cover photo is best? So we're going to talk about that next. So does your company, the first thing I would be saying in terms of which cover photo is, does your company have a standard one? So once you guys are out and in the workplace, oftentimes particularly larger organizations will have a cover photo that you'll see like senior people will use. Email your marketing manager and ask, can you have that? Can you have a copy of it and put it on there? Because this does two things. This gives you a unique cover photo, but what it also does is it shows your organization, you're a team player, you really want to be part of the brand, you really want to progress within the organization, and you're making a commitment to them. If you're not within an organization, then just something quite clean, something quite colorful, that maybe includes your social media handles. It might include, a link to your blog. All of these things are for the purposes of making you stand out. So making you appear different to everyone else within your network. And so including your social handles can work really well. And finally, if you are a business owner, you can use your LinkedIn cover photo to promote your business. It's the first thing people are going to see, particularly when you do connect with people that you don't know. They click into your profile. So if you think someone connects with you that you don't know on LinkedIn, the first thing, or even Facebook, if we're in that mindset, the first thing that you do is you click on and see, oh, do I know this person? What's the crack with them? If you are on LinkedIn and you connect with someone you don't know, your cover photo is the first thing they see whenever they click on your profile. So you can really only see cover photo, headshot, and headline. And then anything after that, you're relying on them to be scrolling down and asking for more information. So having a really, really good cover photo can help you stand out, and it can help make that first impression. And also show people that you are active on LinkedIn, you are updating your stuff regularly, and you don't just have a sort of run-of-the-mill cover photo that everyone else has. So yeah, cover photo, having a custom cover photo can really, really help when pushing out that personal brand on LinkedIn. Yep. So Kathy saying she has Belfast skyline. Yeah, that's a really good one. Again, it's just something different, something, and especially if you're someone who, you know, wants to work in Belfast, you want to work somewhere that has that kind of an ethos. Things like that can really, really help, and just show a little bit more about you and a little bit more about what you're about. Fourth thing then, whenever we are building, oh, Jackie has the White Rocks. Oh, I love the White Rocks, Jackie. I'm like, because I don't live in Portrush anymore, for anyone who doesn't know, the White Rocks is a beach in Portrush. Any opportunity to get to the White Rocks, or if I see the White Rocks in a painting or a cover photo, I'm like, oh, just makes me so happy. So yeah, that's the White Rocks, great one. It's great just to stand out, and have something that says a bit about you, and that's a really good example. So the fourth thing is to stay up to date. So keep your profile updated frequently. So I think I said on Wednesday, LinkedIn is the sort of thing that you don't need to update as often as Instagram or Facebook. You can kind of keep your profile sort of as it is until you're wanting to refresh periodically. But if you're really wanting to go that extra mile with your personal brand, keeping it as up to date as possible is actually one of those things that can be really, really important. I'm actually just seeing Kathy saying that my sound is perhaps interfering. I think it's actually my computer sound, so I can't turn it off because then I can't I can't hear. But yeah, if it gets too much, I'll mute my computer. I'm just not sure if that'll mute my voice as well. So stay up to date. Okay, so update your profile frequently, and make sure that you include your education. So once you guys graduate, make sure that you update that on your profile. You can add your classification, you don't need to. Certain industries require a certain classification, and actually what I was saying on Monday was as well, you don't absolutely need to have your school or your you know, post-primary education, but again, certain sectors like legal sometimes will require you to have certain A levels, and sometimes it can be a good idea, if you know those requirements exist, just to have them on there, because it takes away another step for the employer, saves them wondering. Any information you can have on there that you personally know is going to be relevant is good, because it saves them time, and they like you a bit more because they think, oh, this person has everything I need. So education, keep it updated, and keep your grades on there if you're happy with that. Yes, Kathy said some larger schools have alumni groups on LinkedIn. Yeah, really, really good. Exactly what we were talking about earlier. Actually, it was during the break, just in case any of you missed it. It's really important to keep your web as wide as possible, because you never know. And when someone from your school might be sharing something in maybe 20 years' time that you actually really want to see. And is relevant to you. And yeah, also university have one as well. I'm a member of it. So yeah, so second thing then is your experience. Keep your experience up to date, keep your job descriptions up to date. If you take on a new role, if you take on a more senior role within your organization, make sure that you're keeping updated with that, and that you're keeping that filtering into your LinkedIn. Keep up to date then with promotions as well. So if you're promoted at work, if you get a new role, if you get extra responsibilities, you can keep those on as well. You can put those on just under the kind of experience tab, or you can actually make a song and a dance about it, and you deserve it because you've worked really hard, and post about it or share an update about it as well. And finally, always update your LinkedIn if you are, you know, going to a conference, if you're speaking at a conference, if you have a new achievement, you know, if you've achieved something either within or without of work. Particularly those of you who might go on to do professional qualifications, it can be really, really useful to update then, right, I have now achieved my chartered accountant status. I'm now a qualified solicitor. I've been called to the bar. Those types of things, update those, because that just helps people to see that you're active and that you're progressing as well. So the fifth thing then that is really, really important is to use your description, use your summary. So LinkedIn allows you to have a summary. right under your profile photo and your headline. And oftentimes, if people are particularly interested to learn more about you, they will go down into there and they will read your summary. And so it's really important that you think about this and that you're both strategic. So you're posting things that are going to be appealing to your target audience and appealing to the types of events that you are trying to, or the types of organizations that you're trying to get into, but also be really specific. If you can say things like, you know, I increased web, you know, if you're a digital marketer, I increased web traffic to X website by 40%. Things like that are so attractive to employers. So if you can be quite specific as well, again, it just makes you stand out and it shows that you're prepared to back up your experience. And I'm just seeing as well, Jackie saying, yeah, speaking at events in the next couple of weeks, I would never have thought of putting it on your LinkedIn. Yeah, oftentimes people don't. In Northern Ireland, we have a bit of an aversion to bigging ourselves up. We don't like to talk about the things that we're doing because we think, oh, nobody's going to want to hear about that. People are going to be bored. I don't want to talk too much about myself. But actually, those are things that really make your LinkedIn profile shine, because they're things that not everybody can have and not everybody can put on there. So what I would say when you are having your description in mind and you're building it, think about those goals. I'm going to be a broken record about these LinkedIn goals, but anything you do on LinkedIn should be serving your goal that we talked about at the very start. You know, why are you on there? What are you trying to get out of this? And your description and your summary should be servicing that, and it should be really boosting that goal, rather than, again, being a tick box exercise. If you're doing something because you feel you have to, or everybody's doing it, you're probably not doing it right. So you should be really clear about what you personally are trying to get out of it. Keep it short and sweet. We have all seen LinkedIn summaries that have absolute war and peace about a person and how amazing they are and everything they've done since they were born to like last week. And while the odd recruiter, the odd employer will wade through this, oftentimes people want to see it quite short and sweet. They want it to be easy to read, and people, yes, Kathy, are way too busy to be reading long summaries. It needs to be sort of long enough to cover the key points, so as people are going to then think, right, I want to hear more about this person. And if your CV lands on their desk, they think, oh yes, I read her summary on LinkedIn, I want to read a bit more about her. Summary on LinkedIn is not the place to be wax lyrical about everything you've ever done. Keep it very specific, keep it very relevant to what you're trying to achieve, and everything that's going in there, ask yourself, is this relevant? Could this be omitted from here? I think the maximum length, and I'm sure Kathy will correct me if I'm wrong, it's about 1,000 characters, maybe slightly more, maybe it's 1,000 words, but I have to say the reason I'm not 100% sure on that is because I would never go anywhere near it with a summary. I always like to say, like what they said to us whenever I worked in the investment bank about company expenses, it's a limit, not a challenge. So make sure that actually don't be just thinking because there's this number of words. It's not like a job application where you need to use the word count. It's a case of it's an absolute maximum. So keep it short and sweet. And include contact information. So we were talking about social handles earlier. This is somewhere that you could put links to your other socials if you want to, but just include a way for someone to reach out to you, because it does two things. It does the very obvious thing of helping the person understand how they can reach out to you, but it also tells a recruiter, an employer, a client that you're open to being contacted. You're actually saying, please reach out to me, I want to hear from you, because otherwise a person might feel quite nervous about reaching out and I'm not sure how you'll react. So we have a question in from Sean. How do you tailor this list if you're looking for clients and business partners? Okay, the back on question 4, yeah, I will just pop back as well to question 4, list number 4. To answer that question, just while we are here. So yes, staying up to date. Yeah, again, Sean, this is really, all of these things are important for you in business as well. I would say, again, keep your education up to date. So keep put your qualification there, and make sure maybe you do a course relevant to your business. Same with experience. What I would say with promotions, I would replace that with recommendations. So any work you do with clients or with business partners or collaborating with other businesses, ask those people for recommendations and get those onto your profile, because that's sort of the social proof and testimonial side of things, and with what you do. And I would pay particular attention to point 4 when you're in business, and make sure that everything you do, you are talking about it on LinkedIn and really building out that credibility. So number 6, claim your vanity URL. Now this is very techy, but I will talk you guys through it, and you can only do it once every 30 days. But what this basically means is whenever you are on LinkedIn, and you'll all be able to see it on your own profiles, you will have lots of numbers after your name. So it will be like linkedin.com/EllieFrancis 9021056, lots of numbers after my name. But in the edit profile section on LinkedIn, you can edit your, yes, Jackie's got rid of her numbers. Yes, that's good, that's what I like to hear. You can get rid of the numbers, and you can just have a vanity URL. So this is mine here, which just says www.linkedin.com/in/Ellie-Francis. And basically this is something that is really, David's asking how much would that be? Completely free. Anyone can do it. So you just need to do it on, I hope that's what you mean, maybe that isn't what you mean, but that's, anyone can do it via their LinkedIn profile. And it just means that whenever people click in, they see just a clean URL. And I would say for you, for Sean, and for anyone else who is in business, so important. This is really important, because it's so much cleaner looking. And also, if people are searching you on LinkedIn, they're going to assume that this is your LinkedIn URL. So if they know your name, they're going to just search linkedin.com/in/your first name surname, assuming that's you. And if you haven't got rid of your numbers, then they are not going to be able to find you. So that's not good, obviously. It also is really important because in terms of the job side of things, particularly if you're going into something like marketing or business or consulting, because it shows that you actually know about this, and it shows that you're actually up to date with you know, how to work social, how to work these platforms, and it just shows that you're very engaged. But what I would say is be very sure about what you want your name to be. You might, if you have a particularly like if you have a name that someone else has used, you might have to put like Ellie-Francis something Belfast or whatever. Obviously in terms of the URL, you can only have one per person, so, or one person per URL, so you might have to put something extra in there, but you can go in and change those. And yeah, so a couple of you guys asking how to get rid of the numbers. Yeah, Jackie, so you just go in, click on the profile, edit profile and URL, and it just is like a bar, like a text bar, and you can just wipe it and then put it back in. So yeah, so claim your vanity. We call it a vanity URL for obvious reasons, and it just means that you have really clean looking profile, and it shows again that you know what you're doing whenever you are on LinkedIn. Number 7 then is to write an article. A really great way of building your personal brand on LinkedIn, particularly when you guys are in the space of, I know I'm sure you're all thinking I don't want to write anything else, and sort of getting the dissertations in, but whenever you are writing an article, when you write an article on LinkedIn, it's just taking it that step further than anyone else goes. So it's taking it that wee push further. You're showing that actually you're engaged enough and confident enough to actually write an article on this topic, and post it out there on LinkedIn. So, and write an article on a topic that's relevant to your goals. So if you are looking for a training contract, say you are wanting a legal training contract, and you are particularly interested in property law, though I can't imagine that anybody would be particularly interested, but coming from being a law student myself, but if you were particularly interested in property law, it would be a really good idea to write a topic about something interesting that's going on in that sphere at the minute. sphere at the minute. And if you're into like obviously public law, so much rich content at the moment that you can be writing about, you know, different areas. And same with you guys in marketing, business, make sure that you are writing on something that's going to be relevant to those target employers. And what are the key things then when you're writing an article? There's Kathy's new fabulous LinkedIn URL, amazing. Fantastic, Kathy. It's all happening today. So title and photo. Make sure the title is relevant. Titles that work best on LinkedIn are how titles. So how to do what you're trying to do. You know, how to get a grad job in 30 days or whatever. Or the other type of title that works really, really well are numbers. So if you're 7 reasons to do X, 5 ways to do X, and use the actual numerical form of the number. And that just is what does best with the algorithm. So that'll get in front of more people, and also have a really eye-catching photo. So you'll be able to make that using the likes of Canva or Photoshop, and just put a really nice eye-catching photo in there. You can just use like a stock image, and so as you can attract attention to the article. Keep it to 500 words. Reason being, generally people lose interest after 500 words. So that'll be small or wee bums to all of you guys after lots of writing for university. And share it on social. So LinkedIn always gives you the opportunity to share to social platforms that you have connected. So you've connected your Twitter, your Facebook, Instagram. LinkedIn is going to say, do you want to share this to Twitter? Do you want to share this to Facebook? And I would say yes. And that again pushes it out, gets more eyes on it, and again pushes out your personal brand and shows that you are an expert on the topic. Number 8 then, update your skills. I would be saying everybody should have a minimum of 5 skills connected on their LinkedIn page, but you can have up to 50. I wouldn't use them all in one go. Don't have too much fun at once, as they say, because I like to always keep a few. Now you can chop and change them if you want to, but I always like to keep a few spaces just to add wee extras here and there whenever I learn something new. But you can have up to 50 connected with your LinkedIn, and 3 key ways and 3 key things that you should be aware of about your skills is that employers use these to search. So oftentimes employer won't use job description to search because they sort of know what they want from a skills perspective, but they don't know what they want from a title perspective. So they'll think, right, we are really lacking someone who has Java, or we are really lacking someone who has videography skills, we're really lacking someone who has copywriting skills, whatever that may be. They'll search the skill, they'll search the location, and they'll search the years of experience rather than an actual job description. So sometimes having skills help you to get on search results for employers and for clients as well, that your actual title wouldn't have put you onto. And where can you then find the right skills? Where can you find skills that they are that are relevant for you? Job descriptions, company job descriptions, where they're looking for particular skills. So whenever you go into an organisation, you look at job descriptions for types of roles you guys are looking for. They will list looking for somebody who is good at this. We need them to have these skills. We need them to have this experience. Drop the skill key, and any of those that you think you have, add them on to your LinkedIn page. And okay, David is asking me, would you recommend including BSc honours? Am I right? Can you guys hear me okay? Hopefully you can.
Yeah, you're back to normal now.
It might be you.
You just broke up a wee while there.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, back to normal. Okay, so David, would you recommend including Bachelor of Science honours? Yeah, I would be putting that in, and the classification if you want to as well, just so as they can employers can compare that against their database of what they are looking for. So yeah, get the skills, keep the skills nice and updated, and that works really, really well. And 9, keep your profile public. Really, really important. You can privatize your profile on LinkedIn. You can privatize it to friends of friends, or friends of connections, just friends, all the rest of it. But I would recommend keeping it public so as people can search you, people can see that you're open. LinkedIn really is a platform that we use to connect in with employers, to connect in with clients. So it's not something like Facebook where there'd be any reason to keep it private. So don't keep your profile on private. Allow connection requests from everyone. So whenever you edit your privacy settings on LinkedIn, you can say, I only want to have connection requests from first-degree connections. I only want to have connection requests from second-degree connections, connections of connections, or everyone. I would recommend that you accept or you allow connection requests from everyone, because that means you can see who's adding you, and then you can make the decision whether or not you want to accept the request. And that brings me on to point 3, which is be selective about which ones you accept. We were talking about this on Wednesday, and you are only allowed a cap of 30,000 connections on LinkedIn, which seems quite high, and it is quite high, but that's why don't waste your connections connecting with people that have no relevance to you, and you can't really see your relevance to them either. Be really, really selective about who you accept. But allow requests from everyone, and then that gives you the chance to scroll through and see which ones you want to accept. Okay, so we have a question from Sean asking, do you recommend putting letters after your name? Personally, no. I don't do it. So I don't have my LLB or CIPD after my name at all on LinkedIn, only because I think it clogs up I just don't think it looks as good. There's no sort of algorithmic reason not to do it. It doesn't improve or deter the algorithm, so you can if you want to, if you feel more comfortable. But I personally just don't like the look of it from a marketing perspective. I'd rather just have my name and my headline, because oftentimes, unless people are in the trenches of your industry, they're not going to know what the letters mean anyway. And if you are applying for jobs and you have in your headline that you're an aspiring lawyer, for example, there's going to be an assumption that you have the relevant qualifications for that. So there's no reason to have them in there, but again, it's not one of those ones where it's not going to deter yes, Jackie has just put it perfectly. Could you tell I was scared to say that, Jackie? Sometimes it can look a bit pretentious, and sometimes it's a bit of an eye roller, as I like to call it. So I would say keep the letters out, but again, it's up to you. It's not going to massively impact the algorithm. Well, Jackie, to be fair, like you work that hard on CIPD that sometimes I'm tempted. But yeah, it's just one of those ones. It's totally personal, and it's whatever you want to do with that one. But from my point of view, I don't do it. So number 10 then is engage with target companies. So this goes for you guys who are job hunters and also business owners. I would be making a list of target companies, recommend between 10 and 20, either that you would love to work there or you would love to work with them as a business owner, and I would start to engage with them on LinkedIn. Generally, as we were chatting on Wednesday about, generally company LinkedIn profiles are ran by a mixture of HR and marketing. My personal experience of working with employers, and I work mostly in technology and finance with employers, but it's often HR who run the LinkedIn pages, so it's exactly the type of people who you guys want to get in front of. So that's why I'd be really, really engaging, because those are the humans behind those company pages who are actually seeing your name, your headline, your face. I'd recommend first and foremost following the company page, and the reason for doing this is simply that you'll get an update on your newsfeed if they have open roles. You will get an update on your newsfeed if they're opening a graduate academy, if they are looking for certain people. That will be something that will probably come onto your newsfeed. Engage with relevant updates. You know, there's nothing wrong with giving them a wee like here, a wee comment there. You know, if they're coming on saying, oh, I'd love to hear from people who are people in the legal industry, people in the technology sector. Nothing wrong with you coming on and giving your opinion, because again, it's raising your profile. It's really building that personal brand, and it's establishing you as someone who knows a lot about that area. Engage then with relevant updates. So so engage with relevant updates and make sure that you are really sort of getting on their radar. And again, connect with important contacts. So if you are on their page, you'll also be able to click in and see who their employees are. There's lots of digging that can be done on LinkedIn, and that is really easy to do, and actually LinkedIn's built for that. So if you connect with your important contacts, you can go in and get a list of employees. Yes, connect with Ulster alumni who work there. Yes, really, really big one, Jackie. People who might know you or you might know. So if you just go in, you can read their employees and see who might be relevant to you in the context of either the HR director, the talent acquisition specialist, or again Ulster alumni, someone who you might know. So yeah. And then number 11, guys, is ask for recommendations. So Kathy and I were chatting about this before you all came on this morning, and sometimes it can feel awkward to ask for recommendations. Sometimes it can feel strange to ask for recommendations, but it is really, really important. And I would recommend that you have between 5 and 10 recommendations on your LinkedIn profile. You can have more if you want to, but I would recommend between 5 and 10. These act just like references, and for the business owners among you guys, they're just like client testimonials. You can ask for them from former employers, people you've worked with in the past. I always ask my clients. Usually, either I'll ask them for a testimonial for the website, or I will send them a request to give me a LinkedIn recommendation. Or you can ask your peers, because LinkedIn will give you the choice to talk about that you have to click basically in what context you know the person, and it can be someone that you worked with. So it's something that your peers can do as well. What I would say is we have seen in the past people just randomly asking lots of people for recommendations. It's not a good look. Don't ask people that you haven't worked for, being involved with in a work context. If it's someone you've maybe met once, or you spoke with at a conference, or you just know them, it's not a good idea to ask them for a recommendation, because it can look a bit random, and it also means your recommendations aren't as meaningful. But equally, don't be afraid to ask people who you have worked with and you have engaged with in the past. And David is asking me, Google, what do you mean by that, David? What are you asking about Google reviews? Sorry, not sure what you mean.
Would you include Google reviews, that sort of thing? No, or just recommendations?
Yeah, well, it won't let you. So it has to be like LinkedIn recommendations. So it has like it's an actual function on LinkedIn. So it's right at the bottom of the profile, and you can ask your connections to recommend you, or again, you can offer to recommend them as well.
Okay, thank you, Ellie.
Yep, no problem. So asking for recommendations is a really, really good way to really boost up your personal brand. And 12 then finally, and then we'll have some time for questions at the end, is employee advocacy. So raise your profile. So once you are an employee, this is something that I see all the time with my employers that I work with. People who really go after employee advocacy opportunities, which basically just means an opportunity to represent your company, really progress quickly and really raise their profile within the organization, because you're contributing to the overall strategy of the organization, and you're contributing to something that is over and above your actual role. And the way you can engage with employee advocacy is to share open roles. So if you see that the company you're working at have open roles, particularly if you're in a graduate academy and then the next year they run the same graduate academy again, talking about this, sharing it with people you knew from uni who are maybe a bit younger than you, can really show the company that you're genuinely interested in recommending to your friends and building a network around you. I actually had a friend, whenever I worked in finance, before I started my business, she was in a team of 30 people, and I think 27 of them she personally referred. And actually that meant that she looked really good within the organization first and foremost, but also everybody in the team knew her better than they knew anyone else. So she had a really, really strong network of allies and people who would help her and boost her career within the organization. Talk about your experiences. So if you're going to a conference with your organization, if you have a night out, if you have a Zoom event, as we're all having at the minute, if you do your team building day. I know whenever I worked for PwC, we used to do an away day every year, and we used to do, one year we went and did Centre Parks in Bedfordshire, and that was just a really good opportunity to talk about the company on LinkedIn and post photos, and doing that type of thing can really help both show your network you're a team player, but it can also help show your employer that you're engaged with promoting the company as well. And finally, don't be afraid to refer your peers. If your company shares a role on LinkedIn that you think your friends or your colleagues or your university peers might want to apply for, don't be afraid to share it with them. Let the organization know that you have shared it with them as well. I'm seeing a couple of comments coming through from you guys saying you struggle, and I'm assuming you mean with recommendations. It is so awkward to ask for recommendations, but honestly, LinkedIn makes it quite easy, which is the good news. You can literally just click, where you click to connect with someone. One of the options is ask for a recommendation, and it's just a clickable thing, and then it will go through to them. I would normally send a little message to them first and foremost and say, oh, by the way, I'm really trying to build up my LinkedIn recommendations. Would you mind if I sent you through a request? And then oftentimes they are more than happy to recommend you off the back of it. As well. So that's what I would really recommend doing there. And you can also trade is the wrong word, but you can also say, I'll give you or would you mind giving me a recommendation on LinkedIn? I'd be happy to give you one if it's someone that you sort of have worked together with, and that can work really, really well. So this is a slide for you guys to screenshot. I know this is going to be recorded, so you can just go back on the recording if needs be, but those are your 12 ways to build your brand. So just to summarize, optimize your profile, make sure you're using keywords that are relevant to both your industry and the types of roles that you are trying to get into. Have a profile photo, can't emphasize it enough. I don't want to end up going another rant about LinkedIn profile photos, but it's so important that you have a profile photo. Have a cover photo as well. Stay up to date on your profile, keep updates coming in, and don't let it kind of go a bit stale. Keep your summary and your description specific and strategic, and don't go kind of too close to that limit. Don't be giving it war and peace on the LinkedIn description. Claim your vanity URL. Glad to see a couple of you have done that during the session. Write an article on something that's relevant to your industry. Update your skills. You can have up to 50. Keep your profile on public. Don't hide it from anybody. Target the companies that are relevant to you. Ask for recommendations, and I'm seeing Jackie saying recommendations are like getting references in advance. Absolutely, and especially nowadays, companies don't really give what we call character references. So oftentimes whenever you get an actual reference, they'll just confirm dates and position to your new employer. And so a few recommendations on LinkedIn can really give that employer an extra boost of confidence in your ability. And finally, once you're in your role, take part in employee advocacy, and that will really build your personal brand, and that really does get you on the radar with your employer as a high performer. So I cannot stress employee advocacy enough. It's a really, really big one. So I have 10 minutes or so to take questions from you guys. If there's anything more you would like to know about LinkedIn, or something that I didn't cover that you thought I might, then please do ask me now, and we will get through them. And anything that you want to know about LinkedIn, I'm more than happy to help with.
What you could do, guys, is use the raise hand function and then put your microphone on. Sometimes people prefer to do that. If you do want to sit and type out a big long question, we'll keep an eye out. I'll just hit the stop on the slides so that we can see if any hands go up. Although there is a slide just at the end, but that's okay. I can copy and paste things into the chat box for it. So guys, please do feel free to tap into the expertise that we have here. While you're thinking of your questions, don't forget our closing Future Skills Week, David Mead, Unlock Your Future is at 1:30, so people could be free to go and get a bite to eat, something to drink before tuning into that. It's on Zoom. Also, if anyone wants to get Edge accreditation, as I'd mentioned at the beginning, on the main Future Skills Week site, there is now a form to fill out, and you need to reflect on 4 things that you went to. Oh, David's found us a good blog, Marketing Solutions blog.
Brilliant.
And we still have some space in individual coaching. So some of our experts this week that are professional coaches who charge over £200 an hour are offering free coaching sessions. You just need to fill out an expression of interest form. It would be a terrible shame to miss that. So that's here. Yes, make all your changes to LinkedIn. Tie in with Jackie Smith and I. Also, Careers at Ulster has its own page. I'm just going to put that in as well. It's good to follow Careers at Ulster across our social media channels, guys, because that's where you find out what's going on. Careers at Ulster. My computer's really slow. It looks like it's about to crash. Uh-oh. Bear with me, guys. Hopefully, can you all hear me okay still? The joy of modern technology. Careers at Ulster has its own page. Here we go, found it. And also, if anyone has graduated, so any master's students in the room, you can join the alumni group as well, because you did graduate from an undergrad. When would you recommend using company LinkedIn profiles? Sean asks, Ellie.
I would say anyone who has a business should have a company LinkedIn profile, simply because when you put your job, so under experience on LinkedIn, if you put in your role, it's a drop-down menu, and the drop-down menu is basically every single LinkedIn company page on LinkedIn. So say it's PwC, for example, you click into it, and you can then end up their logo will come up against your role, and it just shows that you've worked there. But unless you have a LinkedIn company page, it won't show your logo. So it'll just show it's kind of like a non-profile photo, basically, version of a company, and it'll show your role and stuff, but it just doesn't look good for your company. So I would recommend having your company page, and I think we probably post company updates 3 or 4 times a week, but you don't need to. It's more, the key benefit of it is that you have that logo beside your name.
That's great. We've events happening next week. So highlighting top content on your profile page.
Yep, so whenever you have posted content, so whether it's an article, a video, or whatever that may be, if you go into your content feed, so under activity and then your actual content, you can star it up in the top right hand corner, and then it will just feature it right at the top of your profile.
So I'm going to continue to put in, although Future Skills Week finishes with David Mead at 1:30, please stay on top of lots of events happening, because Ellie Francis is actually back with us in the next couple of weeks to host more virtual activities. There's Inside City Law, there's the Northern Ireland Social Care Council, there's the Digital Assessment Centre, there's FDM, the Digital Skills Gap, lots more on LinkedIn from Ellie, Allstate Data Hack, Goal Setting Career Ownership, applying for vacation schemes and training contracts. There's quite a lot for law, if we've any law students in the room. Sorry, question there, Ellie, about logos.
Oh yeah, so what if the only logos you have are UU logos? That's completely fine. If you haven't done any placements or had a job yet, that's completely fine. But you can put like your part-time jobs or your I call them university jobs, but you know what I mean, like your student jobs as well. And you can have those company logos too, but it's completely fine. What I would always say to you guys graduating is employers aren't expecting you to have years and years of experience. That's why you're graduates. So it wouldn't be completely unusual that the only logos within your profile will be your university's logo.
Hello, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm having major technical issues. I'm going to stop the recording there because we have finished the main content.